Hello friends, today's chapter is income tax computation. First of all, let's see before going to any of the concept. First of all, two things we have to clear. That first thing is the tax year. The tax year which will be here in your upcoming exams will be the 2019-20, and the dates specifically we can say that 6th April 2019 to 5th April 2020. Now, in the whole syllabus of the income tax, two types of taxable person will be there. The first one is the UK resident. All the UK resident have to pay income tax as per the UK taxation in their all UK income and as well as the overseas income. That means that UK resident have to pay income tax on their worldwide income. And the second taxable person is student non-UK resident. You may think like that, sir, it is non-UK resident, so why would they have to pay the tax? But student, non-UK resident have to pay tax on their UK income if they have any kind of property income, if they have any kind of interest income from the UK, then only they have to pay the income tax in the UK. Now student, when I'm talking about UK resident and non-UK resident, the thing is that it is the one kind of residential status of that person, and let's see that how to determine that residential status. The residential status have three kind of steps. We have to follow step 1 first, then step 2 and step 3 then after. So let's see what is the first step and whether a person is fulfilling their step 1 conditions or not. The step 1 is student automatic overseas resident. If a person is satisfying any of these conditions, then he will be directly considered as an overseas resident or non-UK resident. So students, the first condition is that if the person is staying max to max 15 days in a tax year, then he will become the non-UK resident. Then students, second condition is that if the person is staying 45 days, right, but he has not been a UK resident in previous 3 years. He is currently in the tax year of 2019-20. He stays, let's assume that he stays for 40 days. But in the previous 3 years, he has not been any UK resident. Then also we will consider him as a non-UK resident. And if suppose he is staying for 90 days, but he is a full-time working overseas, he works in any other country, then he will also become the non-UK resident. Then student, let's come to the second step, that is an automatic UK resident. If the person is qualifying for any of the below conditions, then he will become the automatic UK resident. The first condition is that if any person is staying in the UK for more than 183 days or more, then he will become the automatic resident. If the person has any kind of home, or we can say the only home in the UK, if the person has one home and that home is in the UK, then he will become the UK resident. And if that person is carrying the full-time job in the UK, then also he will become the UK resident. For that, the number of days is irrelevant, right? Then after student, if the person is not qualifying for step 1 or step 2 conditions, then the last step is that sufficient ties test. Here we have to see, we have to compare number of ties that is qualified by the person and the number of days stayed in the UK. So here is the table student, we can compare both the things and we will come to know that whether that person is a resident or not. Students, the number of ties which I am saying, there is a list of 5 ties which person can qualify. The one by one we will see the UK ties. The first tie is that family. If the person having any kind of close family in the UK, then we can say that that person is qualifying for the first tie. Then student, second, if the person is having any kind of home in the UK and he has made any use of that home, then the second tie will also be satisfied. And if that person is have done any kind of substantive work in the UK, then also it can be satisfied. And what is the meaning of that substantive work is that he must have worked here for more than 40 days. The fourth tie is, students, that person must stay in the UK for more than 90 days and he must be UK resident in any one of the previous 2 tax year, right? Then after, he must have spent more time in the UK than any other country. So these are the UK ties. We have to see one by one that how much tie the person is qualifying for, and then we have to compare these ties, whether out of 5 ties the person may qualify for 3 tie, person may qualify for 2 tie, person may qualify 1 tie only, right? So that ties, number of ties, we have to compare with the number of days. Then after, students, the next topic is exempt income. Here are the 6 incomes given in the list, that all the income given here will be exempt, totally exempt from the income tax. So if it is given in the question, you have to just ignore it, and yes, you have to write in the notes that these income is qualifying for exempt income. So these are the list of this. Please go through the list. Then after, student, the chargeable income. There are many kinds of income which can be chargeable, student. Employment, property. Here are some examples given. Then after, these income are chargeable under the income tax, student. So employment, property, dividend, trading, pension, and saving income. Otherwise, CGT, IST will be taxed at us separately, right? That will not be covered in the income tax. So under the income tax, these incomes are taxable. Then after, students, I have given the tax calculation proforma here. I hope you know it very well, and still please overview this quickly. Then after, student, the most important topic is the personal allowance. Why it is important? Because it can come in any of the sum for the income tax. And the thing is that how to calculate the personal allowance is just like a little bit critical, and that's why let's see how the personal allowance amount will be determined. Still, students, if the person is having the total net income of less than 1 lakh, then the person will get 100% personal allowance of £12,500. But if suppose that person is having the net income of more than 1 lakh, that means he is richer, he is having the higher income, then first of all, the next step will be to calculate the ANI, adjusted net income. Now after calculating the ANI, once again we have to see that how much the ANI is coming. If the ANI is less than 1 lakh, then once again that person will get 100% personal allowance of 12,500. But now, student, if the person is having ANI of more than 1,25,000, then personal allowance will be 0. And now you may ask that, sir, what if the person is having the personal allowance ANI of between 1 lakh and 1,25,000? Then, student, I have given the formula here. You have to apply that formula, and whatever amount comes, that will become your personal allowance, right? Now, student, how to calculate the adjusted net income? It is very simple. You have to take the total net income, and then you have to deduct the gross gift aid donation, and you also have to deduct gross personal pension contribution. That will come up with the adjusted net income. Then after, students, the tax rates I have given over here. The tax rates are also given in the examination. It is very simple, but the 2 rules, additional rules, which you have to remember is that first thing is that for the dividend income, student, any kind of taxpayer can get the advantage of 0% tax for the first 2,000 of the dividend income. That means if a person is having the 5,000 of the dividend income, then first 2,000 of the dividend income will be taxed at 0%, and the other 3,000 will be taxed according to the band, in which band the dividend income is falling. Now the same case is with the interest income, but here if you are the basic rate taxpayer, then you will get the relaxation for £1,000, first £1,000, and if you are the higher rate taxpayer, then you will get a relaxation of first £500 only, right? So this is how the 2 rules works. Then after, students, marriage allowance. Marriage allowance is the topic where let's take an example first, that how and when the marriage allowance will come into the picture. If suppose the husband and wife both are working, and but the husband is a higher or additional rate taxpayer, so he either utilizes his full personal allowance, and if suppose wife can utilize only 5,000 of the personal allowance, right? So her 7,500 personal allowance is going to waste. Wife's balancing personal allowance will going to waste. So the marriage allowance is saying that the wife who is having the excess personal allowance can transfer that excess personal allowance to the husband, right? So this is how this is the logic of the marriage allowance. But the student, here the twist is that marriage allowance you can only claim if both the spouse are basic rate taxpayer. If both the spouse are basic rate taxpayer, then only it can happen. And there is also a maximum limit that wife can transfer to the husband, is that maximum personal allowance of 1250 the wife can transfer. Now, once again, the little bit twist over here is that the wife will transfer the personal allowance of 1250, but the receiver, that husband, will not get an increased personal allowance. The husband's personal allowance will remain same 12,500, but he will get indirect benefit of this transfer via the tax reducer. The husband will get tax reduction of £250, right? Then after, student, child benefit income tax charge. The government is sometimes pay the child benefit to the taxpayer for the children, and that child benefit is a tax free. Now we have to see that parents are rich or poor, right? If suppose that parents are rich, then government may charge the tax on the child benefit, right? But if suppose that parents are poor, then government will not charge anything. So how we will decide the parents are rich or poor? The single thing that will be decided is that if the mother or father, any of the parties having the higher income, that means mother or father, any of the parties having the ANI of more than 50,000, then tax charge can come into the picture. And if any of the party, if both the party, we can say, if the mother and father both are having the ANI of less than 50,000, then the tax charge will be zero. Then you don't need to do anything. The 100% child benefit will be the tax free. Now, here the two rules come into the picture. The first thing is that if the ANI is between 50,000 to 60,000, then we have to apply the formula and calculate the tax charge. And it is given over here also. And the second point is that if any of the parent is having ANI of more than 60,000, then 100% of the child benefit will be considered as in the tax charge, right? And the last topic, student, is the ISA, individual savings account. The thing is that this individual savings account we already learned, we already included in the exempt income list. So you may remember that. So it is simple that any kind of interest income or any kind of gain from the individual savings account investment will be totally exempt, right? So then after, student, that there are two types of ISAs. The first thing is the cash ISAs. You can invest in the cash ISAs or you can invest in the shares or stock ISAs. For the tax year of the 2019-20, the ISA investment limit is, student, £20,000. And if you have the, suppose, the £20,000 of the limit, and that limit can be extended by the deposit amount of the deceased person, right? So this is all about this chapter. We will learn the next chapter in the next video, students. Thank you.